Welcome in, everybody. 5 minutes with Sean, maybe 10. Here we are, end of January already. Happens quickly, my friends. Let's keep up. 11 months to go. Given it's January, always a month around cancellations. And as someone who helps clients in many various ways with dealing with digital marketing, one of those ways is dealing with cancellations. Having to inform vendors, and it's never fun, but some stores, just the way that the deals are set up, as they ask you to do, it happens. And sometimes it's with friends, and that sucks too. We've been doing this a long time. Cancellations suck in general. As a business owner, no one likes to see them. I don't like to have to give them out for any reason to anyone. But there are ways to handle that. There are ways to gracefully accept a cancellation, especially one that is, with maybe a long-standing deal, if you want to look at it that way. But just in general, we get canceled, like anybody else. And all I always say, it sounds really callous, but it's always like, cool, no problem. Long as the bills are up to date, we're ready to go. You know what I mean? Move on with your life. The way that we kind of bill behind, we always like to make sure that we're caught up with that, right? That's fair. But after that happens, it's over. You don't really go back. You don't really go back and think about it again. So when recently I've had to deal with it, was when I had to call one of my friends to do it. And it was like, hey, this is the deal. And he's like, yeah, not surprising. Seen it coming. Happens all the time. Like, whatever. It's cool. Great. That's it. It's kind of the end of it. Then I have to kind of be a part of an email exchange between client and also friend about a cancellation. And it was basically like, yeah, dude, I get it. I just need to kind of, get everything into one place, basically coordinate it into one vendor, make it easy like that. And the vendor's like, yeah, no problem. Just so you know that this is what makes us a little bit different than whatever it is that you're about to do. And here's some of the details as to why. And if you start to see any slippage in this particular area, let us know that that's probably the work that we've been doing, and that's pretty cool. For me, I actually, when I saw it, I was like, I've never thought of sending, I just accept it. I don't, I always feel like if someone doesn't want to work with you anymore, like, why would you work so hard? And then I think, well, is that me just being like someone putting up their defenses and me not wanting to like push through it and help them? Like, I think the work that we do together is pretty obvious when we're doing it, right? And so, but maybe it's not. Maybe that's what I learned from that email exchange between those two, was just to see it and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I can approach those kind of with fact and areas of, hey, if this then that. It was pretty cool. And I think it sat. I mean, I know the client was like, dude, I didn't know any of this. Hold on a second. And took the weekend to consider, still continued with it because ultimately it's about consolidation, which, yeah, that it's always a bummer. It's always a bummer to hear when people cancel products based on consolidation. Maybe it's because of OEM pressure. Maybe it's just because of, understaffed, right? Departments of people trying to deal with things for a group. When that happens too, it just, there is no one. I was about to say there are very few. There's no one who performs all functions of digital marketing front to back at the highest level they can within one organization. That's it. It's that simple. So it's why I believe in niche businesses in this industry, and I always have, and I always will. Being in that niche, fulfilling a certain thing that no one else is fulfilling, or doing away so no one else is doing it. That's what people, and be great at it. Pick that one fucking thing, right? That one thing, and be great at it. That's what I like. That's what I get behind. So when I see consolidation moves, it bums me out. Just to my car guy core. Okay. So we've talked about my way, which is sanitary. We've talked about the midway, which is to show fact. And then there's the way that I wouldn't recommend anyone ever take a cancellation ever. I get when people work for companies and that's the the end all be all. We work here. That's it. Without our product, you won't survive. I appreciate that. I really do. It's false. It's categorically fucking false. So, with that as the lens here, we put in my clients, but it's not even me. This is my client, put in a cancellation. And he receives back an email from the rep that is long and this and that. It's basically basically getting into all the data that they give and all the word vomit that they tell you to reply with and how this will directly affect this part of the margins and this part of the business. And again, we can do that. That's no different than it really on the surface. The first email was really no different than the data email given previously, except it came with a little bit more connotation, being condescending to us all. That's what happened there, and so that's what made it a little different. And so then it was basically a reply like, "Hey, totally get it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. This is where we did our due diligence. This is where we made our decisions for the new year. If we see any downfalls in these areas, we'll be sure to reach out to you and this and that." And then it became something where now that I was involved, now the vendor decided to go to me directly and take the client off the email to basically say, I don't know how this is measured. I don't get this and I don't get that. So then I was able to break it down as simplified as I could for anybody to understand why a client made the decision that they did. And show data points that were about site-wide averages versus their traffic, site-wide lead closing rates that against their average, things like that. You know what I mean? Just facts, not any other made-up numbers. Just simple facts, same report, same vendors, league-wide averages, if you will, as the mean, below, above the mean. Where do you stand? That's it. It's fucking that simple. So that wasn't enough, and so it sort of went back and forth. It went back and forth way more times than it should. So finally, I just said, "Look, man, this is unnecessary. This is unnecessary. I probably could say I'll call your boss because we probably know. I don't give a shit. That's not who I am. So just accept this for what it is, and don't make it a situation where even if the client's about to fucking fall off the shelf with sales, that he still wouldn't call you because that was that bad of an exchange. It doesn't have to be. Being canceled sucks. Grace, honor, remain friends for as long as possible. You never know when we're going to need each other again." That's it. That's all we have for this week. Thank you so much. I look forward to you joining me next week. Have a great close to January.